Hey folks, so I took my first road trip with the Benz here, my E550 yesterday. It was about a 4-hour total trip. I put about, we'll just actually look at the interior here, how much we put on. But I just want to give some updates about it, what I felt, what I kind of experienced driving the Mercedes, I guess, basically. I actually just gave this a wash, and now we're going to drive home on the extra dirty roads today, and or the dusty roads. So anyway, we're going to get in. I had to come down here today to actually do some work, and now I'm just heading home. But
I'm not sure
I did, it won't tell me. Anyway, it was about a 24, so it was a 4-hour round trip. I believe it was, 250 miles. So we averaged about 24.5 miles per gallon. Part of that was interstate driving, part of it was state road driving. So I do have to say, that's not terrible. It isn't as good as what the Genesis was, but then again, you're dealing with a vehicle that's a little bit heavier, I believe by about 300 pounds, and does have all-wheel drive, and a tad bit more torque and a bigger displacement engine. So I would expect this to get worse gas mileage, and a 7-speed transmission compared to the 8. So I would expect that to get a worse, Mpg score compared to look at the turkeys. Look at that Mustang right there. How cool. Wowee. Look at all those turkeys. And we got a fellow brethren out here driving his cool muscle car out here today. Good for him. He's enjoying the clean roads with his Mustang. And lo and behold, my car has more horsepower than his. So kind of cool. But at either occurrence here. So I did get some decent Mpgs with this car, although nothing to scream about. But then again, you're dealing with a car that has 400 horsepower and 400 foot-pound torque. And there's not a ton of videos on YouTube out there regarding the gas mileage of this vehicle. So my average speed for that trip was, I believe, 66 to 67 miles per hour, and I averaged that 24.5 Mpg. So with that being said, the Mpg is a little bit worse than the Genesis that I had, although I do appreciate the all-wheel drive aspect of it. The smoother, the better shifting transmission. But I do have to say, this is a highway cruiser. This is an E550, and boy, I mean, you get all aspects of this. You get a very powerful engine, very fast engine, supposed 0 to 60 in 4.6 to 4.8, although with the 2012 improvement, 0 to 60 went down to 4.2, which was awesome. And this isn't a super loud vehicle, although I could definitely see it being a little bit louder. It's still a great ride. I mean, I've got this in comfort right now in the economy transmission setting, and this is one of the smoother cars I have been in, especially for a sedan. So if you are looking for one of these, I would highly recommend this E550 over an E350. I mean, I don't like to, unless you're doing it for pure daily driving. I have this vehicle for my second vehicle. I've got my truck as my daily, and I'm only driving this right now because my girlfriend had to take my truck because her journey is in the shop. But and that's the only reason why I'm driving it. But boy, I mean, you just slap on your massage seats And this is one of the most comfortable rides you're going to find in a vehicle from this age. In the economy mode and in the comfort setting, it glides over potholes like no other. And if you know me, you know I don't like smaller rims. You know, I like to have at least 19s on my vehicles. My truck's got 20s. My last 3 trucks have had 20s, and most of my cars have had 19s. This has an 18-inch AMG design spoke to it, or 5-spoke rim. So I do actually appreciate that, and it's kind of like the Cadillac CTS. You know, the rims are smaller, but it fits the car well, and that's how this is here. It fits the look of the car very well, and it provides you a very stout and... we got to stop for some water on the road because we can't get the car dirty. It provides you with a very, I should say, not necessarily a stout ride, but a stout in the sport setting ride, for sure. But it provides you with comfort. I mean, comfort, good looks, 18-inch tire, or 18-inch rim, put on a 255 size tire. You can really, that gives you a lot of options for cheaper tires if you were to go that route. I do like that option. I do like 18s on vehicles. That's totally okay, especially on ones that look as good as this one does. And you pair that with the 255 size tires that are on here, and you get more than enough traction for this horsepower and this torque of this E550. One thing I also do like here, it's almost like the Durango with the adjustable dampers, on how easy and noticeable it is to go from sport mode to comfort mode with the ride, and along that with the transmission as well. Although I do wish Mercedes's transmission in sport from economy was more noticeable. I am definitely pampered with a Durango though when it comes to that sport and track setting there, so I don't expect that in a luxury sedan performance luxury sedan from 2011. That's a 10-year age gap there between vehicles, 10 or 11. So again, with that being said, this definitely provides you with more than enough acceleration to be happy, and keep you interested in the car for sure. If you're somebody like me, you lose interest in cars pretty fast. And moving back to the Genesis here, I don't want to make this video too much about the comparisons here. I want to do that more so in a separate video, but first noticeable difference between those two was how the vehicle put down the power and how the transmission reacted. And if you watch my Genesis videos, you notice that the Genesis transmission was okay. It was right in the middle. There wasn't a sport setting, there wasn't an eco setting. Basically, it was just there, and it was an in-house design transmission, just like the 7G Tronic is from Mercedes. But the difference between the 7G Tronic is that you have that sport mode, so you can have that sportier setting. The Genesis was almost like this vehicle in economy mode, and that was just it took the fun out of driving. And Genesis as a brand is known for having cars that just don't sound great, and that's how that 5.0 R-Spec was. I mean, you're dealing with an engine that had 376 foot-pound torque and 430 horsepower. I would expect that to sound a little bit better than what it did. And I did put that exhaust on there, although it sounded like crap. So from the factory, it should have sounded better. And this exhaust system doesn't sound fantastic in this Mercedes by any means, but it definitely makes you feel like you have some power under the hood, which you do. And that's definitely another plus of this vehicle. And I do have to say the steering is a little bit more sharp in this as well. Now, you're dealing with an electronic electronic power steering in the Mercedes, and in the Genesis you were dealing with a hydraulic power steering. So I definitely felt the road a lot more in the Genesis, although the steering ratio was worse in the Genesis compared to this E-Class here in terms of how noticeable the steering is, and how sharp the steering was compared to the two. One thing I did appreciate though was that hydraulic steering in the Genesis over this electronic power steering in the Mercedes. So yeah, other than that, the road trip was enjoyable. I was actually kind of surprised with the gas mileage. I thought I was going to get more closer to that 20 mpg mark, and I got 24.5. But it was fun. The massaging seats are awesome. I'm glad they still work in this vehicle. It has 77,000 miles. The air suspension is nice, although I don't think I would get it again. I'm not a huge fan of air suspensions, to tell you the honest truth. I have it in my truck as well, and I just am not a huge fan of them. I for the reliability of it. I don't lease vehicles, I own, and I'm okay with paying out-of-pocket costs on them. At just what it is for my type of driving and how I keep vehicles, especially as my primary vehicle. But overall, the road trip was good. It was a lot of fun. Twin Cities Auto Show was a lot of fun, and I was quite happy with the driving dynamics of this Mercedes here. It's it's a direct competitor of the Genesis 5.0R spec, and I do have to say, if I was buying these two vehicles brand new, I would probably go with the Genesis because it was about $20,000 cheaper, and you got a lot of the options that you do on here for basically $20,000 less, and the performance is almost the same, although you're getting rear-wheel drive instead of all-wheel drive. But rear-wheel drive is much more fun to drive. If I was buying them used, I would probably get the Mercedes. I would try to find one of these without the aromatic suspension, which was 2012 on up, and I would definitely go that route because the driving experience is just that much more fun for a car enthusiast, and it actually holds you in the car, makes you want to keep it a little bit longer than the Genesis. And although I did have that Genesis for almost 2 years, believe it or not, I was trying to shop for other cars. I was getting a little bored of it, and it was time to go, basically. So, especially for the rarity of both cars, really, the E550 is definitely the way to go for the driving aspect of it. Yeah, other than that, that's about all I got for this short little driving review of the road trip yesterday, and kind of the differences between the Genesis and the Mercedes. And I'll do a computer review of both the Genesis and the Mercedes later on here, and kind of give you my final thoughts on the two, as I know a lot of you are cross-shopping these vehicles as much as well as did I when I was looking for the Genesis. So this is an awesome interior. I wouldn't get beige, but this isn't my daily, so I got beige. I usually wear pretty clean pants that don't stain the seats, so I am fairly impressed with the interior quality as well.